War is usually remembered through generals, massive armies, and unstoppable machines. But sometimes history turns on a single man, standing alone holding a gun, refusing to move. This is the story of one gunner whose defiance brought an entire German advance to a halt. His resistance was so unexpected, so effective, that the German command made a drastic decision. They didn't send more soldiers. They didn't send artillery. They sent one of the most feared weapons of World War II, a Tiger tank, and they sent it just for him. The German army in 1943 was still a terrifying force. Their blitzkrieg tactics had crushed nations in weeks, sometimes days. On the Eastern Front, villages disappeared under steel tracks, forests burned, and roads became rivers of mud and blood. German commanders believed momentum was everything. Once an advance began, it was meant to roll forward without pause. This particular sector was expected to fall quickly. Intelligence reports described light resistance, poorly equipped defenders, and exhausted troops. The German infantry moved confidently, convinced this would be another routine push. But what they didn't know was that one gunner had chosen this ground as his final line. He was not a famous officer. He commanded no battalion. He didn't even have a name that history books would highlight in bold letters. But he had something more dangerous than rank: experience, precision, and a refusal to retreat. The gunner was assigned to a heavy machine gun position, overlooking a narrow approach route. The terrain forced German troops to funnel through a specific corridor, trees on one side, broken ground on the other. It was the kind of position that looked insignificant on a map, but deadly in real life. When the first German unit advanced, they expected scattered fire at best. Instead, the machine gun opened up with surgical precision. Bursts were short, controlled, deadly. German soldiers dropped before they even understood where the fire was coming from. They tried again, and again, each time the same result. What made this gunner different was not just accuracy, it was discipline. He didn't spray bullets wildly. He waited, he observed, he fired only when he knew it would matter. Officers were targeted first, radio operators second, medics third, not out of cruelty but strategy. Without leadership and communication, the unit collapsed. Within hours, the German advance stalled completely. German officers could not understand what was happening. Reports kept coming in describing unexpected resistance from what should have been a weak defensive line. Reconnaissance teams were sent forward. None returned. To the German command, this made no sense. A single position could not cause this level of disruption. They assumed it had to be a hidden battery or an entrenched platoon. But aerial reconnaissance showed nothing, just smoke, craters, and silence. The truth was almost insulting to them. One gunner, one machine gun, and a field of fire perfectly chosen. German doctrine demanded action. Stalling was unacceptable. Momentum had to be restored. And if infantry couldn't break the position, then armor would. That was when the order was given. Send in the Tiger. The Tiger. I was not just a tank, it was a symbol of German dominance. Its armor was nearly impervious to most infantry weapons. Its 80mm gun could destroy enemy positions from terrifying distances. When a Tiger appeared on the battlefield, morale often collapsed before the first shot was fired. Sending a Tiger tank after a single gunner sounds excessive. But that decision reveals something important: how badly this one man had disrupted the German plan. The Tiger was deployed not because it was efficient, but because it was absolute. The German command wanted certainty. Long before he saw it, the gunner heard it. The ground trembled. Birds fled the trees. The deep mechanical roar echoed through the battlefield. Every experienced soldier knew that sound. Heavy armor, close. The gunner understood what this meant. The enemy wasn't trying to push through anymore. They were trying to erase him. Any rational soldier would have retreated. He did not. Instead, he adjusted his position. He checked his remaining ammunition. He studied the terrain again, not for infantry this time, but for armor. He knew his machine gun could not penetrate a Tiger, but he also knew something the tank crew didn't. The battlefield was not designed for tanks. The Tiger tank advanced cautiously. Its crew expected anti-tank guns, mines, or ambush teams. They did not expect a lone gunner. The terrain narrowed as the tank moved forward. Mud slowed its tracks. Fallen debris restricted movement. Trees limited turret rotation. The gunner began firing, not at the tank but at its support infantry. German soldiers escorting the Tiger dropped quickly. Without infantry, the tank was blind to close threats. Smoke filled the area. Visibility dropped. The Tiger fired its main gun, obliterating sections of forest and earth. But the gunner moved between bursts, relocating just enough to survive. This was no longer a battle of firepower. It was a battle of patience. At some point, frustration took over inside the Tiger's steel hull. The crew pushed forward, trying to crush the resistance physically. That decision brought the tank exactly where the gunner needed it. The ground gave way. Not completely. Not dramatically. Just enough. The Tiger bogged down. Its tracks spun uselessly. Its engine roared. But it could not move freely anymore. And that was the moment the German army realized something terrifying. The most powerful tank on the battlefield had been neutralized. Not by another tank. Not by artillery, but by terrain, timing, and one determined man. German forces eventually withdrew from the sector. The advance was delayed long enough for reinforcements to arrive. What was supposed to be a swift breakthrough became a costly failure. The Tiger tank was later abandoned or destroyed by its own crew. The gunner survived the engagement. His name may not appear in every history book, but his impact was real. One position, one weapon, one decision to stay. This story isn't about glorifying war. It's about understanding how history is shaped, not just by machines or strategies, but by individuals. The German army had superior firepower, superior equipment, superior numbers, but they underestimated one thing: human resolve. And when they realized their mistake, it was already too late. What happened on that battlefield didn't just delay an advance, it shook confidence. German soldiers were trained to believe that resistance broke when armor arrived. The Tiger tank was supposed to end arguments. When it appeared, defenders were expected to flee or die. But this time neither happened. Survivors spoke quietly about the position afterward, not loudly, not officially, but in hushed voices. A single gunner who wouldn't retreat. A tank that couldn't advance. Orders that made no sense anymore. Psychological warfare is invisible but devastating, and the German army felt it that day. Momentum was gone. Military offensives rely on timing. Every hour of delay forces commanders to reroute supplies, adjust artillery schedules, and reposition reserves. The gunner's stand forced German planners to rethink the entire sector. Fuel trucks waited. Infantry rested too long. Artillery barrages expired without targets. Air support was redirected elsewhere, all because one machine gun position refused to fall. By the time German command attempted to resume the push, the opportunity had vanished. Enemy reinforcements arrived. Defensive lines solidified. What could have been a breakthrough became a stalemate. This is how wars are lost, not always in grand defeats, but in small failures that multiply. The Tiger tank was